when you have the best quarterback in the league, it must be nice. Really must be nice. As a Dolphins fan, I'm sitting here like, I hope Tua's it. Am I sure? Nah. But man, when you have the best quarterback in the league, then of course you're coming off back-to-back Super Bowl appearances. You got already one ring in the last 4 seasons of Mahomes. I mean, of course, his only loss would be to the GOAT himself, Tom Brady. But Chiefs fans, you're in a good spot. You're in a good spot. And we're going to go over the roster today. We're going to do a bit of a deep dive, a breakdown. I'm going to give you my projected starters for the 2021 season. And, of course, a prediction for how y'all will fare next year. What's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy, Bro Schmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave that thumbs up if you enjoy the content. And, of course, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that nice, sweet, sensual football discourse. Look at that. I speed ran that. What a speed run. Let's go ahead. Let's get into the nitty gritty. Let's get into the roster. Eric Bieniemy, EB, the dude's a great offensive coordinator. I don't know what to say. I think the unique thing about this offense is they run trips a lot. It really feels like a Madden offense. They ran trips, I think it was about 20% of the time last season on offense. That's a lot. I mean, a lot. So they like having, whether it's 2 wide receivers and then maybe with Kelsey out there, or 3 wide receivers on one side, and they kind of have this lone guy on the other side, really frees stuff up. This is a very, very good offense, a very high scoring offense, a very sudden, hits you before you know it type of offense. And they got the playmakers to do so. I guess let's go ahead and get into, I want to talk about the offensive line. I think that's kind of the biggest question, because I could talk about their playmakers for days. I think there's some interesting things to talk about with that, but the most interesting part is going to be the offensive line. While they have an Orlando Brown who specifically wanted to play on the left side, that's why he wanted out of Baltimore. And a very good Orlando Brown. He filled in very good on the left side for Ronnie Stanley. That's why he's here. Then you got Joe Thuney, who's a Pro Bowler in his own right. So, yeah, you're feeling good at left tackle. You're feeling good at left guard. And then you get to center, right guard, and right tackle, and you're like, none of these guys have taken a NFL season snap. Season, not preseason. Season snap. So, yeah, you get a little queasy. But look at what they've invested in these guys. Like, with Creed Humphrey, a lot of people like kind of had him in the first round early on. I wasn't that high on Creed Humphrey, but they grabbed him late second. That's about the area I would have probably taken him at. Trey Smith was an absolute steal. I had a fringe day 2 to early day 3 grade on. Goes in the 6th round. What a steal. I think a lot of that probably had to do with the blood clots in his lungs, that type of condition. And Lucas Niang is a guy that has tremendous upside. All 3 of these guys, Niang, the dude opted out last year. So essentially, yes, he is very much a rookie. So, yeah, you feel queasy, but at least I would, about that right side. But I would feel good knowing that these are for the most part pretty high, like they're top talents. But I wouldn't feel too bad because the depth is like they got depth on that on that offensive line. If one of these guys maybe gets hurt, or if one of these guys isn't performing well, keep in mind, man, 4 of the guys that are listed as reserves that are there on the bench at some point started for the Chiefs the last 2 seasons on that line, and took a considerable amount, a significant amount of snaps. For Mike Remmers, you got Nick Allegretti, you got LDT, who was the starter before he opted out last year, Andrew Wiley. So all those guys started. Dude, they brought in Austin Blythe, which I know he hasn't had great production, but still he started for the Rams for the last 3 seasons. So as backups, they're not in a bad place. Kyle Long, when healthy, you got to think he will be solid. as this backup as well. You got. I'm kind of a fan of Yasir Durant. I like him as kind of this swing tackle, which would be pretty well in this offense. So yeah, I don't feel it nearly as bad about the offensive line as probably a lot of other people would, because there's like, oh look, they're starting essentially 3 rookies on the offensive line, but it's like 4 of the guys that they have on the bench were starters like last year or the year before. So again, I am kind. It's like, rest assured, they have depth. Someone should be able to step up if one of these guys cannot, or if multiple of these guys cannot. And plus, you got two of the best players at their respective positions on the left side. So I just wanted to get that one out of the way. Let's talk a little bit about the playmakers. Start with the running back. They bring back Darrell Williams, who's very familiar with the squad. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who was a first-round pick in 2020. Who played a significant amount of time during the first half of last season and then kind of got stuck in this backfield by committee. They come back. They bring in Jeric McKinnon, who I really like. The injuries have derailed his career in San Fran, but I really like him coming in as this like home run threat. They still have Darwin Thompson, who I believe in, I think he was out of Utah State. Those 4 guys, guaranteed, they're making the roster. Elijah Mcguire, I don't know if he can make a case, but I feel good about those 5 guys. Going to the tight end position, Travis Kelsey, he's probably the best tight end in the league. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know who would argue for anyone else. You could say George Kittle. It's like, yeah, but Kelsey doesn't get hurt. Darren Waller, he's up and coming, but Kelsey's been doing it since like 2015. So, but behind them, they got Blake Bell listed here. I got their unofficial depth chart right here too. They have Blake Bell listed as the backup. I think it's just because he's more all around tight end. But Noah Gray really been showing out during training camp and practices. Jody Fortson's looked like a monster in the preseason. They're going to keep those 2 guys. Those 2 guys have a lot of playmaking ability. So, yeah, that's kind of good. Talking about the receiver, this is the other part I really want to talk about because it's extremely interesting to me. Because wide receivers got a lot of snaps. They're 4 of the Chiefs receivers last year played 550 or more snaps. What was it? Sammy Watkins, now he's gone. Someone's got to step up and take that because you got him at Tyreek Hill is going to get his. I could see McCole Harmon's his role not improving, but they're going to ask him to kind of step up, do a little bit more for the squad. Demarcus Robinson's kind of been this kind of, he's a consistent like wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 there. It's going to be Byron Pringle. Their 5th wide receiver was Pringle last year, and he still had 366 snaps. So I imagine he's going to be the guy that they asked to come in and take on some of those snaps left behind by Watkins. And then the question is, who are going to be the 2 guys behind him? Currently on the depth chart, they have Marcus Kemp, who's he really hasn't done anything with the Chiefs. He's really just kind of been a body, a familiar face on the roster, some good depth. But Antonio Calloway is listed as the other one. He's yet to practice with the squad because of a knee injury. I don't think he makes the squad. Of course, you want to bring up Cornell Powell, who they drafted this past season. He's kind of different from what they have everywhere else at wide receivers. This big body threat, big catch radius, nice contested catch guy. So yeah, I think definitely he's probably going to take that like 6th spot, because if Kemp ends up being their 5th, I bet you Kemp ends up being a 6th, but I don't think Kemp's like position is secured by any means. Like, because what is it, Darius Fontaine? He's kind of been showing out during the preseason. He's been kind of this journeyman among rosters. Maurice French has looked good at parts. during like last year's preseason and whatnot. So like it's probably gonna be Kemp. They're the most familiar. He's the most familiar face for them, but he's probably the 6th. You kind of have. I'm gonna assume Powell will probably be the 5th. So regardless, Tyreek Hill, McCole Harmon, those guys are so tough to guard. The ball in their hands, it's dangerous. Demarcus Robinson, he'll every blue moon have a banger game out of nowhere. He's just kind of Mr. Reliability. Byron Pringles kind of flashed at bits and pieces, but keep in mind, Travis Kelsey is kind of sort of, I was going to say like their second option, kind of their first option in this offense. But literally anyone who gets the ball in their hands, it's deadly. Patrick Mahomes, wonderful quarterback. Probably the best quarterback in the league. He was number 1 on my QB rankings. Chad Hennon, he's a fine backup. Won you a playoff game. He's a fine backup. They might keep a third quarterback in this. I think it's kind of interesting. Anthony Gordon and Shane Buechele. It's probably Buechele. I mean, he's the newer face. I liked Gordon in the 2020 draft. Just ended up not getting drafted, but offense is going to be a banger. What's there more to talk about with that? Let's take a moment to talk about today's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest and the best place to go play fantasy football for big cash prizes. Ooh, wee. And let me tell you, Underdog, they got you covered. All you have to do is draft. No need to worry about injuries, waivers, or lineups. Underdog, they got you covered. So go online or use the app, which is pretty slick, and just draft a season-long best ball team, and they take care of the rest. No in-season management required. And they're willing to give you $25 when you sign up, so you can take a shot in their $1 million fantasy football tournament, or you can play in some other best ball leagues, or even make prop bets. Now you get that free $25 on Underdog when you use the promo code BROSCHMO. It's free to sign up, so use promo code BROSCHMO. Bam, you get your $25 once you make your first deposit. So drop $1 in there, bam, you got $26. You big spender, y'all baller. But go ahead, support Underdog. It helps me out. It's always much appreciated, much obliged. And if you're looking for more fantasy content from me, check me out on TikTok at BroSchmo. The link's in the description below. Not much. I think the defense is a bit more interesting with Steve Spagnuolo himself being the defensive coordinator there. What they run a 4-3, and they like to run a little bit of the man coverage, but they also run a variety of different coverages. That's the thing. They run a lot of different things. Mainly, Spag likes to show the too high on early downs, and he'll fit in like cover 2, cover 4, cover 6. Like I said, this guy plays a variety of different coverages. Like, he's a pretty darn good defensive coordinator. And then on third downs, he'll show like cover 1, cover 0. So it's like their whole mentality is this bend, don't break, and wait for the offense to get cooking. Which, hey, it's done wonders for him. Am I right? I know this has kind of been a criticism, I guess, for me for Spag, because he really likes bigger, athletic edge rushers, and that's why Frank Clark has been around this roster forever. I've never been a Frank Clark fan in terms of just the guy will have like a banger game or a banger couple of games, but outside of that, he's largely ineffective. Just a guy that's eating up contract for no reason, and now you got the legal woes. Will he play a game this year? Or even if he does end up starting, will the NFL come down on him at any point? You gotta kind of question that. But I think I like Chris Jones kicking to the outside, because this guy's been disruptive. Kick him on the outside, see what happens. If Clark isn't good to go, then you gotta imagine it's gonna be somewhat like this mixture of maybe Alex Okafor, Mike Dana. He showed bits and pieces last season. Taco Charlton honestly probably looked the best among the three, and he played the least amount of snaps. They did also draft Josiah Kandow, but dude's extremely raw, not ready to go by any means. They could sprinkle him in here and there, though. I think that'd be very, Very interesting. And then on the interior, I really like what they got going on. I think the addition of Jarran Reed, phenomenal. Like he's all right as a run defender, but you really like him as this pass rusher. And speaking of the pass rush, because they got Derek Nottie listed as a starter here, which he probably will, but he's more going to be an early down, red zone type of guy. He's more of a run defender, run stuffer. It's really going to be, I think, Tershawn T. Wharton. He was, I believe, an undrafted free agent last year. And it's weird. He plays on the interior, right? But he's like all of 260. But he was very good as a pass rusher. No kidding, dude. The guy at that size, man, he's got some moves. But he had, outside of Chris Jones, who was playing on the interior, he had the second most snaps on that squad when it comes to the interior offense or defensive line. So I think that's going to be much of the same. They have Colin Saunders, who I was really high on. I think he was out of Western Alabama. He was out of, I don't know, it was some purple and gold, I think was the color scheme. But I liked his Senior Bowl. He just never developed. I knew he was extremely raw, but he's just really never developed as a difference maker on this squad. So it's going to be Warden, I think, is definitely he's going to be the guy to get the second most snaps on this squad on the interior. I think him and Reed could be very scary, especially with Jones. And then you got to imagine Frank Clark. He'll have some games here and there, but I think the defensive line's headed in the right direction. I like what they did with Nick Bolton. It's a shame he probably won't see many snaps this year, just because Anthony Hitchens, man, he's listed as the current star. I know it's preseason. You take these unofficial depth charts with a grain of salt, but I think there is some significance to having a guy a savvy vet that could come on the field, get guys into the right spots, and make sure everyone's playing the right assignments, even if they are, in terms of production, just average. So, yeah, he's likely to be the starter. Willie Gay, though, the dude's going to get a big jump in reps. Actually, last year, in terms of snaps, Ben Nyman was their 12th in terms of snaps on defense. So, shoot, man, maybe Bolton will get a good portion of snaps this year. I really hope so. I kind of wanted him to get the starting job. I'm a sucker for Nick Bolton. I don't think that'll necessarily end up being the case, unfortunately. When it comes to the secondary, the secondary just keeps getting better and better. We saw with L'Jarius Sneed, probably was one of the best rookie corners last season, if not the best. And everyone thought he would be a project because he was going from safety to corner, and the dude he didn't even start walking. He was running. The development was just impressive. He'll probably be the starter with Charvarius Ward across from him. That's a very solid starting duo. I don't really want to talk about the third corner at this point because they're going to be playing three safeties. I mean, between Juan Thornhill, Daniel Sorensen, and the Honey Badger himself, they all played over 1,000 snaps, except for Thornhill, who ended up actually playing 859. Honestly, he should be playing more snaps than Sorensen. I don't know why that's not a thing. Because I'm not a big fan of Sorensen. I'm just going to say that. I know occasionally he makes the big play. He did in the playoffs. For the most part, I think they can do better. I mean, they were hoping Armani Watt could be that, or Armani Watts. Never ended up happening. But yeah, like they got a good thing going because they kind of treat Tyrann Mathieu as the slot, and he'll play in the box as well. Sorensen's more so a box safety, while Thornhill is their deep. That guy, crazy range. So those three guys, I mean... shoot. Like, yeah, I mean, those three safeties, they were in the top 6 in terms of snaps on the defense. So, yeah, they're going to be playing a lot of three safety sets. We could look, like, they got Will Parks. I really like that. Honestly, that could cost Watts his job. There, Devin Key. I don't know. I don't know how they feel about him. I haven't really seen much about him. Training camp, and he wasn't a guy I even looked at when it came to the draft. He was out of Western Kentucky. I didn't watch a lot of Western Kentucky. Are you surprised? So, yeah, Marlon Character, though, out of Louisville. He's interesting. Probably practice squad, though. But, yeah, no, they're good at safety. They're good. They're good. Even if Sorsen is... Yeah. In terms of the depth, because we should talk about cornerback 4 and the cornerback 3 and the cornerback 4 spot, because those guys saw what respectively 550 snaps between the two, and last year it was Rashad Fenton and L'Jarius Sneed. This year it'll probably be Fenton again, and then Mike Hughes. They picked up Mike Hughes from Minnesota, never really developed there. So he comes in here, I think, more so when they're playing those cover 1, cover 0 plays, because that's the thing with Mike Hughes. He's stupid fast. He's a decent man corner. He can at least mirror guys pretty well. So that's probably his role. They got him listed here as because it's kind of weird, as you'll see here. They list him kind of as a starter. Nah, I really think he comes in as the cornerback 4 more times than not. Bo Peep Keys, he's more of a slot guy. DeAndre Baker would be interesting if he even makes the roster. But yeah, no, I think with Sneed and Ward, man, that's a really good duo, man. This is a good squad. This is a good defense. It's a good enough defense. That's the thing. They don't need to be great. They just need to be good enough. When your offense is going to be scoring 30, 35 points a game, yeah, we give up 25 points a game, but it don't matter because our offense is just that darn good. We don't necessarily have to be nearly as good. But I think this defense is definitely better than some people give them a credit for. Let's go ahead to my projected starters. Now, I do this based on, well, who's going to see the field the most. I don't care who your base defense or base offense starters are. I want to know who's going to be on the field the most, and that's how I do these things. So let's go ahead. Let's get into it. For the offense, Patrick Mahomes, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman. Like I said, he's going to be taking a bigger, well, I don't even know. I was trying to find this word earlier. He's going to be asked to do more. There we go. Responsibility. Demarcus Robinson, I think, will be the third wide receiver with the most snaps there, though. Travis Kelsey, Orlando Brown, Joe Tooney, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, and Lucas Niang. Honestly, even if just 2 of these guys end up playing reasonably well, that's a huge win. Huge win. And then for the defense, I got Chris Jones, Frank Clark, as long as, NFL doesn't suspend him. Jaron Reed, I got Wharton, Willie Gay, Anthony Hitchens. Gosh, I wanted to put Nick Bolton so bad, though. Travarius Ward, L'Jarius Sneed, Juan Thornhill, Tyrann Mathieu, and Daniel Sorensen. So how do I think the Chiefs will do? Well, considering I only got them and one other team left, I think pretty well. I got them at 14-3, going 5-1 in the division, losing to the Chargers, because you got to imagine they might lose one game. But their schedule, it's not terrible. It's not bad at all. They got a lot of meaty matchups I can't wait to watch. This opening week against the Browns, that's a rematch I want to see. Then they got to go to the Ravens the following week. Oh, golly, that's fun. They got the Bills, the Titans, the Packers, the Last Dance Packers. That's going to be fun. The Cowboys should be as long as Dak's healthy, a light show of fireworks, man. But they have a pretty easy schedule down the stretch, fortunately enough. Broncos, Raiders. Ironically, it's their division games, and then you got Steelers and Bengals. So literally, yeah, schedule's not so bad. You start the season pretty rough. First 2 games, honestly, first 3 games. Then the Bills, Washington. You can't sleep on Washington. You really can't. But yeah, I think this team's going to do very well. I'm not going to lie. I think they will be in the Super Bowl. I think they're the best team in the AFC, hands down. Hey, dude, if the Last Dance Packers and the Tampa Bay Brady's were in the AFC, yeah, they'd have competition. I know a lot of people like teams like the Titans, the Bills, because they're up and coming. I just don't think they're there yet. I think, if I'm going to be honest, I think the Browns are probably the closest team to competing with the Chiefs because I just think they're built that way. And I didn't bring up the Ravens just because their offense is going to look a little different this year. I mean, they're still going to be very run heavy, and they're going to be a lot of quarterback designs, but it's going to be interesting to see how the receiving core with, was it Keith Williams, I think, now as their passing game coordinator, like how will that turn out? So the Browns are a bit more predictable than with the Ravens. There's a bit more stability. That prediction is just, I expect that defense to be much better. Dude, JOK looked like a monster in his first preseason game. Be like, well, it's preseason. Well, it's JOK, and I was stupid high on him. I had a first-round grade on him. I'd be willing to take him in the top 15. So, yeah. But yeah, that's it for the video. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. These videos are super fun to do. So share it with a friend. Let's get some views. And until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.